Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Like the idea of a perfect career or perfect thing for you, I think that's delusional. I really think the only way to know is to just go out there and explore. And so think of your career as a startup.
Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode where we discuss what is going to be the future of work. When we talk to a lot of people who talk about the future of work, is that they talk about this particular aspect where nobody can really tell you what the future of work is, because that's how dynamic and fast paced today the technology is, and that's how fast paced the idea of what is business and what are some of the careers that are going to emerge is. When we were kids, Indian kids in schools are told by parents that you just study till the 10th, and if you do well in your 10th, then your life is sorted. Then someone tells you that just study till graduation, then your life is sorted. Then someone will tell you do a post graduation degree, do an MBA, and your life is sorted. uh, the honest truth is that no more is that true. uh, People who do well are people who are constantly studying throughout their lives, upgrading their skills, learning new things and learning in public. So these are some of the things that we're going to talk to someone who's done that in the last 10 odd years. I'm talking to Preethi Reddy, who's based out of the US. Preethi has built a very impressive following on Twitter. She has done a variety of different jobs. She is so many different things, and we're going to talk to her about how she manages to be so many different things at the same time. Preethi, thanks a lot for doing this with us.
Yeah, of course. Excited to be here.
Wonderful. Uh, Preeti, let's get right into it. My first question is very fundamental, and this is a question that a lot of students ask us. What are the careers of the future in your mind?
The best way to kind of see change that you want happen is to go contribute to that change and be a part of that change. And entrepreneurship is probably the um, purest way to go about and bring about change. Sitting there and protesting or rioting or engaging in politics, it's a losing battle. It's a zero sum game. Whereas entrepreneurship creates more value, creates opportunity, and I think I hope more people and more careers lead towards the entrepreneurial route. And it doesn't mean you have to start obviously $1 billion company.
Right.
Entrepreneurship can be small too. It can be a one person entrepreneur. There's many single person companies out there. So I'm hoping there's more entrepreneur spirit that comes out of this.
Firstly, I want to understand, learning new things and documenting them. How does that align with how the future is shaping around us?
In terms of learning new things, I think I've always sort of been a very curious person. I enjoy learning. It keeps me feeling alive. And the reason I share it is because I think knowledge kept to oneself turns into basically pride. I really enjoy those moments when I see someone get something that they either didn't know before or were struggling to understand, and it's really amazing to see that bulb. The reason it's important is because the world changes, right? For example, your worldview before 2020 versus your worldview after 2020 are going to be very different. So if you didn't spend this year at least educating yourself on sort of why are we in this situation, what are the historical events that led up to this, or and try to figure out what you can do in the next decade, 2 decades, etc., then you're going to be living in the past. So that's one reason why I think always learning is important, because the world is changing and you want to be evolving with the world. You don't want to be stuck in the past.
Let's go through your journey after your graduation. You went into finance. You worked at Goldman Sachs. What was that like? Your transition from engineering into finance, and what were some of your early experiences at finance?
So my transition into finance was honestly an accident. So just like everyone else when they go to college, I didn't fully know what I wanted to do with the rest of my career. And so I initially came to USC as an undecided major. I explored different subjects. And then eventually I picked engineering because it just felt more real to me. It felt like, if I'm paying $50,000 a year to go to college, I just want to get a hard degree. So I did really well in engineering. And then, but I knew that I also had this other side to me, in the sense that I've always been pretty good with people. I enjoy things like psychology and business. So the way I got that fix in college was I was a business minor, and uh, through one of the finance classes, I got to know about what investment banking was. And honestly, I didn't even know why it was so cool or why I thought it was so cool. But at the time, like it was like the hot career. They were competitive. They were hardworking. They were hustlers. And I ended up, doing the whole, spending the whole year, really like training myself for these investment banking interviews, networking, all that. And then, long story short, I ended up getting a job at Goldman Sachs as an intern, and then ended up going there full time too. I literally thought, like, when I went to the Goldman interview, I remember walking out of the interview, and so I got the first round, I got through that, and then I had the final round. I remember going to it, finishing, and walking out like crying because I didn't even know what the questions they were asking. Like I didn't even know how to answer it, but I tried my best, and I walked out, and I called my mentor at Goldman Sachs, and I was like, I didn't get the job. I totally failed that interview.
Right.
And he was like, it's okay. Like you have other banks. There's like 20 other banks that you have interviews with. Just focus on those. You tried your best, because people realize that the most successful employees and most successful people in life are people who constantly learn and can learn quickly. So they hire those types of people because it really doesn't matter what you know. It's about how quickly you can learn. It's like compound interest, right? Like I spent my first year at Goldman. It was probably the most intense year of my entire life. I slept at most 4 hours a night. I was totally lost. But eventually I realized that while I liked Goldman for the people, because the people were just incredibly smart. And like in that 1 year, I probably learned what most people learn in like 5 years of their first career, right? So I learned a lot, but I ultimately realized that like I didn't want, at least at the time, I was 22, I didn't want to do finance for the next foreseeable future. It just didn't feel me. I felt like my heart, I'm an engineer by trade, I'm an engineer at heart. I think like an engineer, I like solving problems. I didn't feel like being an investment banker was solving problems. So I ended up leaving, and I had, again, no idea what I wanted to do. And then, long story short, I had a friend who suggested looking into VC because a lot of bankers go into VC. I didn't even know what VC was. Eventually realized it meant venture capital. Funnily enough, I sent a few cold emails. I think I sent like 4 or 5 to different venture capital firms. One of them was a16z, and 2 of them answered, and it was DFJ and a16z. Probably like 8 interviews later, I got the job. So that's how I ended up at Andreessen Horowitz, through a cold email. And my time there was amazing. I liked it a lot, at least compared to banking. It was so fun, because every day you're learning, you're meeting entrepreneurs, you're understanding different problems that people are solving. You're forced to think about a business, a market. And honestly, that got to me after 2 years. After 2 years of being at a16z, I realized like, I'm still 23, 24. Why am I sitting here being a VC? Why don't I go out and try to build my own company myself? I'm young, I have energy now. But I felt at the time that one thing I was missing was I didn't know how to code. Even though I was in engineering college, I was an industrial systems engineer, so I didn't really take many CS classes. And I felt like if I wanted to go start a tech company, I should know how to code. I didn't want to be that founder that relies on someone else for the tech stuff. Ended up leaving a16z to teach myself how to code.
Take us through that journey of starting out after you finished your education, and what was the reality like? What hit you that you didn't realize when you were on the other side as a VC, and what were the things that you were prepared for, you felt that you were ready to handle?
I never wanted to get too comfortable, too cushy.
Right.
Then your eagerness to change the world, to do something different, to work hard, all that goes away once things get too cushy. I'm not going to deny that those 2 years that I spent learning how to code and then doing my first software engineering job, those were probably the hardest years ever. I went to a boot camp. It was intense. It was really, really intense. But that's the approach I wanted to take. I wanted to go all in. And because I knew I didn't have that much time, I wanted to go all in and just give it on my all. And I did. And ended up on the other side, getting a job, obviously, at Coinbase as an engineer.
Let's come to Coinbase now. This is a place where you've combined your finance experience with your software engineering degree, the freshly minted software engineering degree. You enter Coinbase, you understand this new world of crypto over there. Take us through that introduction to the world of crypto for you.
To be honest, when I joined Coinbase, I knew a little bit about crypto. I knew about Bitcoin, obviously, because I was the a16z, but I wasn't like an expert by any means. And so Coinbase, what I loved about Coinbase was everyone who worked at Coinbase were early crypto enthusiasts. So that phase of crypto is long gone. Right, I got to interact with people who got into crypto before anyone even knew about crypto. Secondly, like Coinbase was and still is an incredibly well-run organization. And their engineering talent is amazing. They had really great engineers, and their practice, like everything about just like having that be my first engineering job was just amazing.
You stepped out of Coinbase, and what were the things that you took up immediately, and what has been your journey since?
The big thing I did in 2017 was I learned how to do smart contract engineering. So I was a contractor for a few Ethereum projects so that I can learn how to code smart contracts. One of them was a total disaster, and I had my name attached to it, and I honestly, it was hard to know in 2017 what project was legit and what project was not. And there was one I joined, I thought it was gonna be super legit, but ended up not being legit. So I made my share of mistakes that year. But the big thing for me was I learned Ethereum, I learned smart contract engineering, ended up writing that blog post that went viral about how Ethereum works. And then towards the tail end of that year, I moved to LA and decided I would start my own crypto company. So that's how.
You've picked up crypto, you've built a very impressive Twitter following, which in itself requires a commitment and effort in that direction. You also run a women's startup support program, and you've also learned belly dancing and other fitness areas. So tell us how each of these contribute to your larger career ambitions.
With learning crypto, that's been something that I've been doing since 2015 now, and it's there were times that I took a break just because I didn't know, like if that's what I want to do, and I always end up coming back to it. Including earlier this year, I actually took a 6-month hiatus from crypto, and it brought me back because ultimately I realized crypto will play some role in the new world that gets created after 2020. The other stuff like belly dance and dance in general, so that's something that I actually picked up late last year. The original reason for why I started learning how to dance versus why I continue to learn today are very different. Originally it was kind of like, like my childhood ambitions to want to be on stage one day and perform.
A few years ago, everybody would go to LinkedIn to look for a job. A lot of those people are now shifted to Twitter, and that's where a lot of cold emailing is happening. People are building their own followerships on Twitter. Why is it important today to have a good social media presence for a professional of any stripe?
I'm not sure if everyone needs it. It's one of those things. It comes with its consequences too.
Right.
So I wouldn't say like if you're not on social media, you're totally missing out. It really depends on your goals and what you're doing, and your personality, all that stuff. But the value of it, the upside of it, is that if you have an idea, you can get really quick feedback on it. And secondly, it gives you a tool to distribute your ideas. Like I said, it comes with its trade-offs, right? Like it, there's a lot of negativity. You can let that get to you sometimes. And I know people who just cannot handle it, right? And it's emotionally too much for them. You have to be really careful whether this is the game that you want to get into.
What did you learn from shutting down your startup True Story? So take us through the journey with True Story, and what were your learnings from it?
When you go into starting your first company, what you think being a founder is versus what being a founder is are very, very different things. I actually created a YouTube video about 10 things I learned as a first-time entrepreneur. If anyone's interested, don't be an artist, be an entrepreneur, because it's the artist's job to perfect, right? You don't want to see ugly art, but with products, with business, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. Just get it out there and get feedback. It's all about iteration. The other big thing I learned from True Story is learning how to hire. This is one of those things that you can read about it in books and stuff, but there's no way to learn it until you do it.
What are the kind of opportunities that are open today, and how should I be approaching this overwhelming options of opportunities in front of me?
This is the blessing and curse of having something like the internet and online tools and online resources readily available to you, is that it gives you almost too many options, and you're kind of stuck in this land of like, okay, I have all these options, but I don't know what I truly want to do or what's perfect for me. Like the idea of a perfect career or perfect thing for you, I think that's delusional. I really think the only way to know is to just go out there and explore. And so think of your career as a startup. I would say the biggest thing for you is actually not getting lost in it, and actually just picking something, even if it doesn't feel perfect, and just starting. Because what you realize is you can think about what you want to do in your head, but all of that doesn't matter. Like all of that goes out the door once you start actually learning about something, because the process of learning and the process of doing is what guides you and creates the path for you. Oftentimes early on in your career, it'll be hard to figure out what you want to do, but it'll be a lot easier to figure out what you don't want to do.
Thanks a lot, Preethi, for this. This has been really valuable. There were a lot of insights here that will be useful for our students. I understand that there is a time difference between where you are and where we are. So really appreciate you taking out the time and making in the effort. I hope it helps the students in our community. I really appreciate you taking out time. Cheers.
Yeah, of course. This is fun. Thank you for having me.
Hi guys, Inside IM has come up with an exciting new one-on-one mentorship product where you get to interact with superstar managers from different businesses, different functions. You can ask them everything around your career, your education, your future success. If you are interested, the link is in the description below. Thanks.